All right, welcome everyone to our weekly Team Passion Zoom call. We do these every Monday night at 9 o'clock. There is plenty of space for you and your teams to join us. These are also recorded every week and placed on our Team Passion Training YouTube channel. It's Team Passion Training, all one word. And there's always amazing topics. Usually if there's something that you guys are struggling with, I'm listening all week, and that's usually the topic of the Zoom call on Monday. So I am paying attention for sure. So there's a lot of really great recorded ones out there that if you haven't gone and listened to all those in the archive, go ahead and listen again. And we always have a great Q&A, so questions get answered if there's something that people are struggling with. So super excited tonight to have Keith Callahan join us. So for those of you who don't know, Keith is my sponsor, and him and I went to school together. So sorry, let me see who's that. Who's making noise? All right. So Keith and I went to high school together and reconnected about 5 years ago on Facebook. And, I kind of wanted to see what he was up to. I saw his before and afters at P90X and reached out and started asking some questions, all sorts of skeptical and stiff. And, that led us to, me joining the team. But I will let Keith, chat. I won't bore you with our story. Keith is a 7-star diamond. He is a member of the Millionaires Club, so amazing. And he is a 3-time elite coach. And, not to put words in his mouth or any expectations, but I can confidently say that tonight you are going to get some inspiration and some motivation that I had the privilege of getting from Keith one-on-one for at least a good year in the business, and then he let me fly out of the nest and let me go and build my own business. But just, make sure you have your notebooks ready, because I think what you're going to get from this call is a lot of little nuggets that you're going to hear that maybe you're not going to be able to process right away. So you're going to want to go home or you're already home. You're going to want to take that notebook out and just really think through, things that were said, because I think some things are going to hit home for you that will hopefully get some blocks out and just have you be super successful in this business, because we know the power in this business. I gave you all a video today in our Team Passion page, just giving you everything I had today, just telling you that I just love you all too much and care for you all too much to let you quit and let you think that this is not something that you can do because you're not where you want to be. So I really think this is perfect timing for this call tonight, especially with kind of that video that went in the page today and kind of how you're all feeling. So without further ado, Keith Callahan, welcome. Thank you for joining us, and take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Nicole. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Cool. So yeah, it's an honor to be on this call with you, and also Bill Tallman. So I know that we're going to do 2 separate calls, but kind of doing it together. So it's an honor to be really on the call with the both of you. And, for me, I was thinking about, and before doing a call, I like to think about like a lot of times we'll get into these things. What do we want to talk about, and what's fun for us to talk about? And I really have been trying to think about and envision and get into that point of like, what can I do to help the most? Like, what message can I bring to help the most? And it's really like, I think out of anything, you're probably going to hear a very similar story with Nicole and I, when, it's not similar in the sense like we may have found our way to Beachbody in different ways, but similar in the sense that the struggle was, and I say was real because I know you can comprehend that, and is still real. And that's a lot of times hard to comprehend, because don't make any mistakes. Like, success in this business isn't going to solve your problems, but it's going to give you an opportunity in life that you never had before. And that statement's gonna start to make a little bit more sense as we go along. But anyways, it's it's just an honor to be on this call and really have learned a ton through watching Nicole, watching her build her business, and really watching her reaching out, getting connected with other mentors, and growing as a person. One thing that I always have noticed, admired, honored, and just really want to point out is the discipline that you go about your business with, Nicole. Like, always steady, always consistent, always persistent. And that's a big thing in this business. Like, I'm going to share a little bit about my story and share a little bit about my journey. But, I know that everybody has their pens out. Really write this piece down. It doesn't matter the skills that you come into this business with. The person that lasts the longest is the one who wins. That's what this business is about. It's not about, you can have people that come in and they're total rock stars and they blow it up for 6 months and then they're gone. It's a business about fortitude. It's a business about consistently doing simple little things over and over and over again. And that's not sexy. That's not exciting, but it's the honest to God truth in this business. Like, that's how this business is built. So anyways, it's kind of getting into today's talk. The title of this one is, there's one thing that all the 5-star diamonds and above have in common. And it really is, it's essential to your success. And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what that one thing is and how you can apply it to your business. So we're really going to focus in on that. And, then before the call, I was thinking about, what can I, like, if this call could be a home run, if we could end this call and the best possible outcome, what would it be? And I think the ultimate thing is you believing that you can do it. Like, if we can end this call and you really, really, really believe that you can do it. And I don't mean like here, like a lot of us, we're in this culture that this positive self-talk and stuff like that, and that's all cool, but movement, decisions, all of that, it doesn't come from here. It comes from your heart, right? Like, if you think about what's the first thing, if you go to a car dealership, what's the very first thing they want you to do? They want you sitting in that car. What's the reason for that? Is because we just talk about numbers, we just talk about price, we're not going to buy the car. But if we sit down, we feel it, we can see ourselves in it, and it hits us on an emotional level, right? So the number one goal for today's call is, I really want to, if we can deliver you believing that you can do this, and whatever that is for you, if it's hitting Success Club next month, if it's getting to Diamond, getting to 2-star Diamond, getting to 5-star Diamond, whatever that piece is, I really want to get into it. And I want to get into it where you feel it, you believe it, it's going to happen. Not I can do this. It's more of this is happening. This is going to happen, right? So that's sort of the ultimate thing. And the second piece is that we actually start doing something, right? So if we can end this call, you believe you can do it. That's step one. And then step two is that you actually start doing it. And then ultimately, the biggest compliment that I can get, the biggest compliment that Nicole can get, is when you come back a year from now and you say, I remember that time. Like, I remember that time when it clicked. I remember that time when it happened. So ultimately, you come back a year from now. And that's really, if we can get those 3 things accomplished, this is a lofty goal. But you believing in you leaving tonight's call and taking action, and then ultimately achieving those goals, right? So in order to do that, like in order to get that result, we need to really answer 3 questions. And these 3 questions are what this call is going to be about. The first one is, can I do it? Because we all know that this business is possible, right? We all see these other people that are doing it. but why is it not working for us, right? So I want to really dig into that question. Can I do it? And then another one, a lot of people really don't understand this. What exactly is it that I'm doing? And then the third question is, how do I do it? So I want to talk about those, and I want to sort of answer the can I do it? What is it that I'm doing, and how do I do it? So can I do it? And I'm just going to get real. And I think that, everybody's heard Nicole's story. Most people on this call have heard Nicole's story. And I'm just going to share a little bit about my story, not even about Beachbody, but really about my life and about some of the stuff that I personally went through. And, it's not an easy thing to share that stuff, but thinking about, I want you to understand that you can start wherever you are. So, I grew up in a family, and both sides of the family were alcoholics, like full blown alcoholism. My father, full blown alcoholic. My mom, whatever you want to call it, an enabler, a co-addict. Eventually now she drinks all the time. Both sides of the family also very blue collar, and there was always this, like, at least in my immediate family, there was this, like, almost like you're not like our family and who we are, we're not worthy of having success, right? Like the cap was like there was a cap on it, and in my family it was about like $55,000-$60,000. Like that was it. That's what everybody made. Nobody went to my dad graduated with an associate's. That was the highest degree on his whole side. My mom's side of the family was educated, but there really was this. Do you guys know what I'm talking about when I say that? Like there's this mentality of like, this is what we're meant for. Like we're not the family that has big success. We're not the family that has these big dreams. Do you guys understand what I'm talking about with that? So that, like, that's how it was when I was growing up. And in the 7th grade, I'll never forget this. I don't even know how it happened or why it happened, but it was just some random day when I was in the 7th grade. I came home, and I don't even remember how I got this. I don't know if I stole it from my parents or had someone buy, but I had a 6-pack of beer. And in the 7th grade, I came home and I sat in my bedroom at night and drank a 6-pack of beer. And just to sort of give I'll fast forward all the way through. So from that point in the 7th grade, I started doing that like regularly. Not every single night, but it was like one here, one there. And then into the 8th grade. And then once I got into high school, it was like, every weekend it was getting drunk to the point that you were like blacking out. And then it was, as I got further and I got into college, it was like 3 or 4 nights a week where I literally wouldn't remember anything. Like I would wake up in the morning and there would be enormous gaps from the night that were missing. So eventually this all ended. So this was about a 10-year period, and it really ended down in Mardi Gras. I went down to Mardi Gras with a group of friends and got alcohol poisoning, was sick, like really sick, like deathly sick for 3 straight days. But that was it. That was the last time I ever really got drunk. I'll still have a few drinks here and there. But it was a adult male who had the emotional body of like a 12-year-old. So when we start drinking, once we sober up, wherever it was that we started, our emotional body like gets stunted. Like that's where it stays, right? Does everybody follow that piece? So, I'm a 23-year-old male with like a 12-year-old's emotional body. And really what all of that was, I didn't understand it at the time, but it was a suppression of unmet emotional needs. Like, well, I'll leave it as simple as that. So anyways, then I got sober, and it was a disaster. It was, I had tons of anxiety. I was having panic attacks all the time. I got depressed all the time. It was to the point that I couldn't even drive on the highway because I would like have these panic attacks. And this is what it was like for me from 23 to like 25, 26. And I didn't want to, I just thank God, like the one thing that my dad gave me, he has an insane will. And the only reason I didn't go back to drinking and all of that was because I just had this will, and somehow I got through those like 3 years. And I was going to yoga, and I would find like a little bit of like, just, I could breathe, right? Like I could actually breathe when I went into this yoga class. And then eventually things started to get a tiny bit better. I went through 2 years of intense therapy. I went through, then I found a spiritual path that I really plugged into. And little by little, like I chipped away, and all these things, all these cords that were attached to me, all this healing that needed to be done. And, it's a continual path, but it kept going and kept unraveling and kept unraveling. And it was, at those darkest points, it was never to the point of suicide, but I have to tell you, for probably, the up until the time I got drunk, there were there was no reflection on life. It was just literally my existence up to that point was, I would go out every night because I didn't want to miss out on the party. Like that was it. Like that's what I lived for. And I actually, like, subconsciously, I thought, like, if I don't go out tonight, I might miss out on something. Like it's going to be any different, right? It's a bunch of people getting wasted, but like it's going to be any different. So then but that's where I lived. Like there was no connection in here. And then, like, once you sober up and once you look at all that stuff, that's why it's so hard for people to get sober, because it gets worse before it gets better, right? Like it gets way worse before it gets better, and all these things have to surface. And if you don't go into some type of therapy, whether it's AA, whatever it is, then those things stay there, right? And then but if you go into therapy, like, you're able to release little by little. You get rid of a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And I really wanted to start with that story, and it's more graphic than that. It really is. There's a lot of people I hurt. There's a lot of just stupid things that were done. There was a lot of like amending that had to be done. But I share that because that's not who I am right now. And you can really, like, I can trace that back to one decision. And it was the decision that I was going to do it. And for me doing it, it wasn't even getting sober. It was the only real time, there's been a few times, but the biggest real time that God ever spoke to me was, it was just this flash insight. And it was that, like, just like, you can live your life at such a different level than where we're at right here. So, like, for me, it was, I want to live my life at this certain level, right? Does that make sense? Like what I'm doing right now sucks, and I want to live my life at the highest level. And I made that decision, like, and that was like the piece that pulled me through. And I want to really, like, correlate this to the business, because I made that decision and then I had no idea how I was going to do it. So success in this business, and this is just, I didn't mean to pull these together, but I really want you to get this point. Success in this business comes from two things. It comes from making the decision you're going to do it, like, deep down inside, almost like an instinctual thing. So making, like, you have a child, right? Like, you don't have the decision to wafer or to go back and forth on it. Like, you now make the decision to be a parent, right? Like, that's it. And like for me, living life at the highest level, like making that decision, building a Beachbody, making that decision, building a Beachbody business. And then the path to it, like you don't have the path. The path isn't laid out. The path is doing what's next, what's right in front of you right now. Does that make sense? Like with Beachbody, so you have these goals in Beachbody. Like we don't have to have this huge grand path all laid out for us. We have to know where we want to go. We have to focus on it. We have to get to a believing point. And we can talk a little bit more about that. And then we just start. And, for so this is all under the can I do it? And the reason I wanted to share that is maybe you're somewhere where I was on that path, or maybe you're not. The most important thing is you can start wherever you are. So I started as a Beachbody coach when I was already on this path of healing, right? But we can become a coach. We can start living and working towards our dreams. This opportunity. I forgot to mention one thing. For those of you who are brand new coaches, that you may be on this call being like, what the hell is this dude talking about? So if you're a brand new coach, just try to stick with me. This isn't like my style of teaching isn't really a how-to. It's like helping to understand the philosophy of what it is we're doing, of where we're going. So I apologize if this is your first Zoom chat. Don't quit on us. There is real training that comes in. But no, so you can start wherever you are on the journey, right? Like it doesn't matter where you are. You don't have to be like Tracy Morrow or Doug Fitzgerald. Like you don't have to be you have to be on the journey, on the path. And that's where you can start, right? And another thing that I really want you to look at is like take an honest look at this. We all have these BS excuses that we actually believe are real, why we can't do it. We all have them. I have them. You have, like Nicole has them. The difference is you have to challenge those. And here's the easiest way to look at it. Ask yourself, has anyone else in the history of the world ever done this with your situation? And if they have, your excuse isn't valid. Has a single mom ever succeeded? Yes. Has someone who was drunk in a disaster like me ever succeeded? Yes. Has someone who couldn't fill their car with gas and had just filed bankruptcy succeeded? Yes. Like whatever your go-to excuse is, I guarantee you someone has had success with this business, right? And that hurts. Like it stings. Even listening to this, it's like, yeah, F you, Keith. But we know it's real, right? Like it's real. Because people, it's the truth. Because once we set our mind to something, human beings are capable of miraculous things. And once we get plugged into it, like you really have to understand what it is that Beachbody is. And we're going to talk a little bit more about it. But you're sitting on something that has the ability to change your life. You guys have been watching Nicole buying a new car, buying a house, you know what? None of that stuff matters. You know what matters is just freedom of time. The material stuff doesn't matter. Freedom of time is the most important thing, because that's when you can change your life. When your back's not up against the wall anymore, and you don't have to, like you're not acting out of desperation all the time. So a lot of times we look at this business and we see these sparkly little things. Trust me, the most important reward you'll get, like that can change the course and the direction of your life, is the freedom of time piece. So can you do it? Yeah. And I'm not talking to the other, how many people, what do you got, 76 people on here? I'm not talking to the other 75 people. I'm talking to you. You can do this. You just have to make the decision to do it. It's a decision. It really is. And maybe it's been going, maybe it's been tanking down for you, and the decision is that you got to really pull it back out and get it up, but you can do it. Everybody can do this business. Everybody who sets their mind to it, really believes in it, has the passion for it, has the faith, has the enthusiasm, and takes the action, can do this business, and you can do it. So I want to just jump next to, so that's, can I do it? Yeah, you can. And what is it that you're doing? And again, I apologize. I only have one way of teaching this business. And I know that a lot of us, when we first get started, we say, I don't want to make a lot of money with Beachbody. I just want to help a couple people out. And I just want to, I just want to make, like, if I can make $100, that'd be awesome. And I believe that, I believe that's where you're at. What I've seen time and time again is, if you keep going, you wind up learning what this business is really about. You wind up learning what it can do for your life. So again, I apologize. I only have one way of teaching, but I want to share with you, this is what I believe you are doing as a Beachbody coach. I believe that we have the opportunity, and not even the opportunity, we don't have the right not to share this business. If my sponsor didn't share this business with me, Bob Lucido, my life would be drastically different than what it is right now. It would. And I look at that, and every single time, because even now, still sometimes it'll come into the mind, oh, I don't want to do that. Am I bothering this person? And the way that, you always have to go back, and here's a super, super important piece. You're not looking for people, trying to get people into the Beachbody thing. You're looking for people who are looking for an opportunity to change their life. Totally different when you go about it that way, right? When you're chasing people down and you think that every single person should be a Beachbody coach, and you think everybody has to coach and everybody needs my help. No. Does everybody have to be a doctor? Is everybody a lawyer? No. We're looking for the people who are looking for this type of opportunity, right? And what this opportunity can do for someone, you have the ability, literally, through getting somebody into a program, getting them into a challenge group, loving them, supporting them, and that's it. Do you know how to sign somebody up? Okay. Can you love them? Can you support them? Do you need to be you don't have to do anything else. Genuinely care about them, genuinely love them, genuinely support them. And if they make it through the program, and with the 21-day fix, are you kidding me? It's almost guaranteed, if someone gets in a 21-day fix challenge group, they're going to get results. They're going to finish the program, right? That's what we have to offer. And so I was listening to this podcast, and it was a meditation podcast with this woman, Tara Brach. If you get a chance, if you listen to podcasts, check hers out. It's awesome. Anyway, she's telling this story about so she tells this story from a first person point of view. And the story goes like this. I was walking, and it's a boy in high school. I was walking home from school the other day, and I saw this goofy looking kid, and he cleared out his whole locker with all his books, and he had this big stack of books, and I was a freshman at this time, and he's got this big stack of books, and he's carrying it home, right? And this other bully kid walks behind him and tips the books out of from his hands, right? So the books fall all over the place, and I saw it. And even though I thought this kid was goofy, I walked over and helped him pick them up, and he looked up at me, and he had one of those looks that it just struck me. He genuinely was grateful that I did that. So we wound up talking a little bit, and just as I had presumed, he was a little bit goofy, but we wound up walking home that day. and wound up becoming really good friends. And he wound up becoming my best friend all through high school. And sometimes I was jealous of him because even though he was a nerdy, geeky kid when I met him, he started, as the years went on through high school, he like really filled into his body. He became a really attractive guy. He became our homecoming king, and could kind of get any of the girls that he wanted. And yeah, so we had this really great friendship. And at the end of college, I was going off to Yale to play football at Yale, and he was going off to I think it was Dartmouth in the story. He was going off to Dartmouth, and he was going to be studying pre-med. And he was the valedictorian in our class. So I remember right before the speech, he was, I gave him a pat on the back, and he was nervous, right? And before we went up there, so I gave him a pat on the back, and I said, you're gonna do a great job. And he gave me that same look. Like, I remember that look from when he dropped the books, right? And he just looked up at me, and it was that same look, like a thank you look, right? So everybody knows that look. So he got up there, and he started talking about how this is the time where you look back on all those people that helped you in your life. And he started sharing about his parents, and then he started sharing about a few teachers. And then he said, but as graduates of high school, the people that really mold our lives are our friends, right? And so he started telling this story. He said, when I was a freshman, I had just had one of the worst days, and I was always picked on as a kid. And I decided I was going to commit suicide. So I cleared out my locker because I didn't want my parents to have to clear it out. So I cleared it out of all the books. And I was walking, like, I cleared out all the books, and I was walking home, and these other kids like bumped the books out of my hands, and the books all fell. And then this one guy helped me, and he picked up the books for me, and he like looked at me, and he cared about me, and he supported me, right? And we walked home together that day. And then I got home, and I didn't kill myself that night. And he tells that story, and I remember I'm in the car, and I'm listening to this story, and I'm like sobbing, crying, like listening to it. But that's the opportunity we have. Like, sometimes we get into this, like, we get in the way of ourselves. And yeah, is this a business? Yeah. Do we get paid for it? Yeah. But when you can put that aside and you can look at it as a human life, right? Like, just a human life. And listen, we all need help. We all need support. We can't do it on our own. So what is it that I'm doing? That's what you're doing for somebody else. And you may never know it. You may never, ever, ever know when that person really needed that help, right? So I always remember that story. And, so that's what we're doing for other people. But what are we doing for ourselves? Like, it's kind of weird to switch over to us after a story like that, right? But here's what I believe in this business, and I want to give the abridged version of it. I believe that as a human being, and this is what I was taught through what we teach through our spiritual path, that if you make a change in your life, that you actually change it for 7 generations. So what I mean by that is, a lot of people who get into this industry, our history, we're looking to make a change, right? Like, it's sort of reality. And it's sort of, even if our upbringing was awesome, we're always looking to do it a little better. Like, we're looking to make it a little better for our parents, for our kids. for the next generation. By not going down the path that my parents went down, by getting sober, by finding a spiritual community, by healing myself, by being able to like I literally could not receive or give love 15 years ago. Totally impossible. Like literally totally shut down. Though, like shifting that goes generationally. So my kids are growing up with a present, loving, caring parent, right? And then what happens is they're going to raise their kids that way, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what I believe, like big picture, that's what this business is about. And I don't want to go into like, how do you build a business that gives you all that freedom of time and gives you that income? Like that can be done on another call, but that's what this opportunity can do for you. And some of us are like the keys to the Ferrari, the keys to the Lamborghini, you got them handed to you. You got a business handed to you that you absolutely can change every single aspect of your life, mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, friendship, spiritually. The whole entire thing is here. It's all sitting right in front of you, but it only cost you what, $140 maybe to get started, $200. And we don't take it seriously enough because we don't have enough skin in the game. One of the biggest downfalls about it being so cheap to get started with this business is we don't take it seriously enough. What if you had to come up with $100,000 that you don't have, and then you had to take out a loan for $1 million to start this business? Would you treat it differently than the way you currently treat it? Right? So again, if you just got started, I'm totally sorry. You jumped on the wrong call tonight. But for the people that like we've been doing this for a little while, or we want to build a big business, like think about it. Like how serious do you treat this business? And so what is it that I'm doing? It's that. Like that's what this business is all about. And how do I do it? I'm going to give you my simple formula for how do I do it. So we all know the 3 vital behaviors, right? I know you guys know it on Nicole's team. So, all right. So I'm going to change one of them. I think that, well, first of all, I think that they need to be flipped. I think that personal development should be number 1, and then product of the product, and invite. Here's what I believe. And I think that you have to have this right from the start. You have to start putting this philosophy in your mind. I believe it's invite, teach others to invite, and then teach others to teach others how to invite. Does that make sense? It's because sometimes we can get caught in that. It's very easy to get a customer. It's a lot easier to get a customer than it is to get a coach doing the business. So I won't go too deep into that. But I wanted to mention that. And so how do I do it? That's what I believe the 3 vital behaviors are. And I think that you need to have a certain amount of passion, a certain amount of energy, a certain amount of enthusiasm to do this business and be successful with it, because there's a reality to this business. People are buying you. They're not buying Beachbody. They're not buying the products. They're not buying Shakeology or anything like that. They can buy that all online, right? Like when you're out there in the world, they're buying you. And have you guys ever heard the burning building story? I know, yeah, Nicole has. Have you ever shared it? Do you guys know this one?
I don't think I've shared it, no.
All right, so I want to share this because I think it's...
Oh, maybe I have. Pieces, but you tell it better than me.
So this was like passed down from, I don't know who originally told this one, but let's say you're driving home, right? So you're driving home and you start to turn the corner and you hear like the fire engines and you see the smoke and you start to see the lights, right? And your heart starts racing, right? So you start getting a little nervous, and then you start to get closer and you realize that it's in front of your house, and your house is on fire. So now you like floor on the gas, you pull up to the front of the house, you slam on the brakes, you put it in park, or whatever you're driving, maybe you park it like that. So you park the car, right? And then you open the door, you slam it, you run out, and one of the firefighters like puts out his hands and he stops you, right? And he's like, "What are you doing?" You're like, "That's my house. I got to go in there." And he's like, "You can't go in there. Like, that house is burning up. You can't go in there." And you kind of just sit there and you watch it, and you see it burning down to the ground, right? It makes you sad. But everything's going to be okay, even though it's all your possessions and everything. Like, everything's going to be okay. Now, picture that same scenario, the exact same thing. So you're driving, you come around the corner, the house is on fire, and you see all the lights and everything, and you realize that it's your house, and all of a sudden the same thing, like your heart starts wailing, you start panicking, you drive faster, you pull up to the house, put the car in park, open the door, slam the door, start running out, and you're running. The same thing, the firefighter puts his arms up and he's like, "You can't go in there." And this time you look at him and you look him right in the eye and you say, "My children are in that house." Totally different, right? Like, there's nothing he can say that's going to keep you from going into that house and just like saving the kids, doing whatever you can, right? Doing absolutely whatever you can. How do you do it? I don't know. What do you do first? I don't know. What's going to happen? I don't know. Here's the thing. Here's the piece that is going to pull you through in this business. You have to get your dreams, your desires, your why, your what it is, what are you doing this for? What do you want out of life? That big, beautiful dream that's been stuffed in the closet because somehow, some way, you've been telling yourself for 10, 15, 20, 30 years that you failed over and over and over and over and over and over again, right? You have permission. This opportunity, it's here for you now. You have permission to take it, put it right inside of you, and get back all those dreams, whatever it is. The opportunity's here. This business is not complicated. It's difficult. It's not complicated, though. Who wins in this business? Write this down. The person that has that burning desire. You have to have that. You have to find a way to fuel it, and then you have to have an extremely gigantic, huge amount of fortitude. And you can't stop until you get to a certain point. You can't stop it. You can't go for 2 or 3 months and then stop, and then go for 2 or 3 months and then stop. You just can't. Because the way this business works, you get all this momentum. It's just like rolling a boulder up a hill, right? You get all this momentum, and when you stop, that boulder rolls back, and you have to start from the beginning again. Maybe you've got a few coaches, maybe you've got a few customers, but you lost all of that momentum, right? So we have that burning desire, we have that fortitude, and you just go. It sounds so simple, right? You just do it. It is. But we have to have that, like, what are you going to, so how did we start this? We started you believing you can do it, right? And I know where we're all at. Like 75% of the people on the call, where you're at right now is, I can do this, but are you going to do it? Right? I can do it, but am I really going to do it? And I really recommend find a 30-day run, whatever type of 30-day thing you can do, whether it's if you're a emerald jumping in a push to diamond group, if you've hit Success Club 5, make a goal to hit Success Club 20. Is that going to build you a huge business? No, but it's going to build you a massive foundation. It's going to give you a huge amount of self-confidence and self-esteem, and it's going to carry over. But don't focus on what am I going to do for the rest of the year, for the next 2 years. Like, what can you do for the next 30 days that's going to drastically propel your business forward, that's going to stretch you, that's going to really like push you out of your comfort zone, right? So I had one more thing that I want to talk about, but I think that I want to end there. You guys do a late call. It's 9:45, so I don't want to glaze everyone over. But I guess I'll just, there is one other thing I will end with, because I did want to put this whole piece in. So two things. So I have a podcast, the Business of Life podcast, and 2 of the episodes are super pertinent. So episode number 2 is called How to Identify and Get What You Really Want. A lot of people have heard about whys, right? Like we hear about creating our why, doing our why. This is an entire like 45-minute or 39-minute, I forget how long it is, talk about really, really, really identifying what it is that you want. So that's that burning desire. That's that piece when we're going through the fire, right? Like how to put that together. So that's episode 2. And then episode 12, and I really wanted to point these out because these are what I think had the biggest impact in building my business. Episode 12 is called Good Beginnings and Good Endings. And it talks about how to start your morning right and then how to end your day right. And I'll give you a hint. If within the first hour you're on electronics, or within the last hour you're on electronics, you probably want to listen to this episode, because it really goes through the importance of setting your mind. It's almost like a radio frequency, right? Like when we first, like the old dial-in radios, like it would be fuzzy and it wouldn't come in clear. And then eventually we tune it and we get it so it's coming in clear, right? Like that's what happens when you start your morning correctly, and then ending your day, however you end it is how you're going to wake up. And a lot of people don't realize that how you go to bed is how you're going to wake up in the morning. So we talk a little bit about that. But you can do it, guys. Like it's setting that intent. It's setting the intent to do it. And then like, you don't need to know the whole plan. What you need to do is get into that feeling nature that you're going to do it, and then just start taking action. Do anything as long as you're doing something. So I will end there. I can hang out and do questions or anything, Nicole, but thank you, Nicole. Thanks, Bill, for giving me the opportunity to share.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I hope you guys took lots and lots of notes, and for sure, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask a question for Keith while you have him here, because he's kind of hard to get a hold of. He's got some weird business hours.
9 o'clock is like unheard of.
I know. We do this later for
I have a question, Nicole.
Yeah.
Hi, Keith.
Who's that?
Hi, hold on. Who is it? I don't have the.
It's Jessica Anthony.
Yeah,
Hi, Jessica.
I was the one who asked to be in your diamond training after I was already a diamond. Like last
Did we let you in?
Yeah, you did. You let me in. You're impressed with my stepping outside my comfort zone and just messaging you, even though I didn't know you.
Awesome.
But I have a question. So what's a better way to drive home the concept to my team that this business is not complicated to do, but it's, easy not to do. And that, yes, it takes a lot of tenacity and fortitude, but the whole concept of the base, like I keep getting like questions like, oh, those top coaches, they must be doing something different. And I'm trying to emphasize that no, they're not. They're doing the 3 vital behaviors just more consistently and better than you are. Like, how do I drive that home?
I'll answer that 2 ways. I like to be honest. The top coaches are doing something differently. And the one thing they're doing differently is they've done those vital behaviors consistently for a long period of time, and now they have people coming to them. Because a lot of people will want to jump in and they're like, I got to get my blog started. I got to get like all that. But all that really is I don't really want to do the real work. So I think that it's almost like, especially with the younger generation, the reason we do math, we have a calculator, right? Like but we need to learn how to do it to know what the calculator is doing. And with this business, it's kind of like, it's just hustle in the beginning until you find your groove. The top coaches aren't doing anything different in the sense that they've just been doing it for a longer period of time. Like, I've never seen anybody come in and jump to the top within the first month. Like, you just can't. You can't do it. You have to get that time. You have to do it over and over and over again. And I think that, or I shouldn't say I think, I know that another thing, when I first got started, I hired a mentor, Craig Holiday, and he gave me this real simple example. And he said, never try to push your leaders. He said, always pull them along. And he gave me a really simple example. He said, take a piece of string and lay it out on a table, right? And think about that as your team. And you can lead one of two ways. You can try to push that string forward and it doesn't really go anywhere, right? Or you can pull the string. And he said, all that pulling the string is you're going to the top with or without them. And you don't mean that in a bad way, but you mean it in a reality. Like, I don't need you. Like I need you. I want you to do this because I love you. I support you. And there's nothing more that I want than your success. But I'm going, like, regardless. And I think when you really do that and you really show people, and then you have other new people that are coming in and they're succeeding, that really does it. And I think one other thing that really does it this is such a simple philosophy, but when coaches, like if you're a brand new coach and you get a coach placed underneath you, like you don't know that, but I love messaging people and just saying, hey, did you see those two new coaches underneath me? Because again, that's like, you're not pushing somebody, but then they're like, whoa, what do you mean? Two new coaches? I didn't sign up two new coaches. So that's kind of a cool thing to do too. I don't know if Nicole has anything to add too.
They hear from me all the time.
Hey, Keith, can I ask you a question? This is Megan Smith.
Hi, Megan.
Hi.
Last time I saw you was in the airport.
Yes, sir. You and your
tribe.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we were all crying that day, including me and my wife.
Yes, but you were actually remaining very calm. So I was impressed. I have a question about building your team. I finally have some working coaches under me. Hallelujah.
Yay.
And I think I had heard from another coach a while back, actually in Cancun, that they concentrate on building emeralds, not diamonds. What's your take on that?
Yeah, that's kind of the way that we were trained. So I think that emerald's the foundation to everything else, right? So if you think about it, like if you're concentrating on building emeralds, then once somebody gets to emerald, concentrate on them building emeralds. Yeah, I think
that's pretty simple, right? If we just look at that like that, instead of trying to push someone to get to diamond, then once they catch the emerald fever, it's almost like they gain a little bit of confidence and the volume goes up, and then they teach other people to become emerald and the ball starts rolling.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I feel like as long as it's simple and it's duplicatable, whatever you're doing, simple, duplicatable, systemizable, and if you can get the big thing is like when you're building a team, it's getting everybody rowing in the same direction, right? Like everybody's looking towards a common goal. And that's why I love like 30 to 60 day, like for this 30 days, all we're focusing on is Emerald, something like that. That's why the Team Cup is so successful, because it's like, let's not focus on anything. What are the rules to the Team Cup? And that's it. Like, that's what we're focusing on. And as a leader, it's simply how many teams can I get in? And then once you get that, like, how can I move all those teams forward? So yeah, I like that philosophy, as long as just don't overcomplicate it as a leader. Like, find one thing and do it. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think the one thing we focus on a ton is Success Club, because that was something that you drove into me, Keith, early on. You know, I don't know, Nicole, I just started this business too, but all I know is we have to hit Success Club together and do this, because that's what Bob's doing and that's what everybody else is doing. And I'm like, okay. And so that's something we talk about a ton and duplicate, you know, more than anything, because us hitting Success Club and then our leaders hitting Success Club and then their team hitting Success Club drives the volume, and then everybody's hitting. And I'd say, you know, it doesn't have to be Success Club 55. It just has to be 5 every month consistently, yeah. No matter what.
That's a super important piece that Nicole mentioned. The highest I've ever hit is 17. Like, it doesn't have to be crazy numbers. Who else? Sarah Nelson. Who's that cute little girl that's got a sword that she's swinging around?
Oh, she's out. She's like, I'm out. Anybody else? I usually let them go earlier than this. You're hardcore, Keith. All right. Well, thank you again so much for sharing that passion with us. I'm super grateful for that, because I know that's just a piece that, you know, that you have, that you can give us, that is just a piece that I've always just enjoyed about listening to you and just putting things in perspective. And yeah, just honestly, like I said, we just had this, I just did a video for them today telling them they all can do it. And I truly agree. So for you to start that call, it was perfect timing. But you can do it. And you guys know that I believe in you 100%, and Keith believes in you. And we all just know that you can do this. And Bill and your team, thank you all for coming. I see Lisa there. So thank you very much for hopping on with us. And it's great to see everybody. And I wish you all nothing but success. And don't just leave this call. So you know me, I'm an action-oriented girl. So don't just leave this call and be like, that was awesome, I'm totally fired up, and go to bed. You know, just kind of look over your notes, see what you're going to work on for the next 30 days, decide that, and post that in the Team Passion page, what your next 30-day focus is going to be. All right? Thanks, guys. Thanks, Keith. Have a great night, everyone.